Please tell us your name.
Palagi Ming Sungro Nanda.
Dhoga.
My name is Dhoga.
His Holiness the Dalai Lama asked us to record your experiences so that we can share your memories with many generations of Tibetans, the Chinese, and the rest of the world. Your memories will help us to document the true history, culture, and beliefs of the Tibetan people. Do you give your permission for the Tibet Oral History Project to use this interview?
Konsachogi Kala Lamdun Shingan Tsugin Palagi Mizina Nguyu Nyamyo Lugu di Durushugi Yore Chumbade. Any Dipe Mirikta, any Kiarik, Zamling Mimala Tayagi Chedore. Any Lugu Dunzu Nane Palagi Nyamyong Dine, any Pögi, Lugu da Rishu, Homshi Yije, and Samashin Tuyagi Chedore. And Taringa Tilen Cheva de Palagi, Pengazula Peju Tayagi, Katu Nangirwa. Yes.
Okay. Thank you for offering to share your story with us. During this interview, if you wish to take a break or stop at any time, please let me know. If you do not wish to answer a question or talk about something, let me know.
Yes.
If this interview was shown in Tibet or China, would it be a problem for you?
There'll be no problems whatsoever because the problem ceased after we fled Tibet.
We are honored to record your story and appreciate your participation in this project. Pala, first of all, let us begin. Let me ask, what year were you born, Pala?
It's somewhat like 1939.
Okay. And where were you born?
The name of the village is Tagigomba.
And what region was that in?
Tagigomba di Kadigi chogi nanglayore.
Kanze sesa te go kagunda ta Tagigomba se Kham Tagigomba se Kham sini de peba ndigo Khamba ris Japan ne kha yo Khamba sini de karisena tanda di Tehor Khamba se gorma do Tehor Khamba sini de karisena Tehor sini de hok ka kagunda gore de senhamala tene do injada mazo gemba ya Gemba Chusum, Gemba Shema Madang, Gemba Chusum, Kham Tela, Tehor Sinitel, Tehor. Tenum Tagigomba, Kanze Gomba, Nyaru Gemba, Kong, Tayu, Mena, Tongo, or that is what some any Tehor Tehor.
My region comes under Kanze, and in Kham there are many different types, and we are called Tehor Kham, and Hor is a region, and in ancient times it's said that we came under the region of Hor, and there are 13 different monasteries in our region, like Tagigomba, Nyarongomba, and so on.
Oh. And when you say, what did your family do for a living in this region?
Palagi namitsogi delaya choakia la chare karinangi yore.
Choakia na manzon hamani terike seta maseda wode kro na komba yori shinka yori kro tsekamani utawa sama yuchare.
Since a very long time ago, we owned a house and we also owned lands.
And how did your family make a living?
아니 낭매 속에 내가 가르치기요. 다 저와게 이야기 된다.
내가 신갈 망체 신갈을 내고래 아니 다 뒤손가 오지는 ngalo ni aja thela pusum ki thawai pomote nang de du pachewa de kon ropar ko seje ton ropar de
Tantarwa.
ha
So we're farmers, and presently, like my elder sister, she has 3 children. So one of them is a monk, and one a nomad, and the daughter stays home.
Is your sister living in Kham?
And aja ma phaile yore.
aja phayo
Yes, she is in Kham.
So, and was your family very wealthy or moderate income or what?
Ani endi kabla pala ke nangsan chiorwa pala chinju imbe kable ya. Anti du kane pala nangsan di gyu choge thangla re dinga thangla re khande gi thangla li ge re.
ngado dinga thatre
Moderate.
Moderate income. Did you own many animals, and if so, how many?
Pala number chola simje mangbo yona simje khachu
seje chuni cheso nang zo yore zamu yore pachu yore ni ralu yore lu yore ti khatira
So there were 12 to 13 animals consisting of zo, the zomos, cows and goats.
12 to 13?
Yeah, and horses.
Okay. And Pala, in your immediate family, how many people lived there in your house?
Pala chinju imbe kabla pala rangi nangmi nanglola mi susu yore.
mo ma chiji shukul ne pawa mani jen pawa jiku thore ani ani ji yore ma aja ti yore jojo ji yore jojo te thawari ngando tem se yore.
So when I was little, they were my father, mother, a paternal aunt, elder sister, and an elder brother who was a monk, but father passed away later.
Okay. And can you please describe what was your house like inside? Like how many rooms did it have, and could you describe it for me?
Palagi nangjira kangbachi pala kyunju kangbadi. Kangbadi kande de which yore kangbadi nanglole ya kangmi khaji yore kande de which yore esa.
kumba dinne chen kumba chimbo yorda kumba chimbo pe masyor karsena ko jara chimbo yore senje tosa chimbo yore ta tedugola ta mambo yore ani shetan kumba shema chaliyo mari loha yore ngado kumba.
So it was a very large house. It had a large yard where the animals were tethered. There were many horses, and ours was in an isolated place.
How far away was like the nearest monastery?
Pala nabazu kangbadi kangji dabji redwa dine cheni gomba thazan di thar luyore.
kumba tunsun dinne mi hamanchi samse ma taji kumba thila
Pala nangnerwa
manane gemba thila hamanchi samse ma
furlong kilometer.
kilometer mare folang se kilometer chino le folang chiyora dine cheno gaji ki tu sa yujir meter ha
It was about a kilometer, like 1,000 meters away.
1,000 meters away. And in the house, was it like a 2-story house? And were there what were the rooms for in the house? Can you give us a description, please?
Palagi kangba jiorwa kangba di toksa ni tore en nanglo la kangmi khande yore palagi kangbe gi deshe jigyoro chis.
kumba karar sena madesa pancha sene chiyor ti bula ta fa hondo tinde jala jasa lo tinde ze se chiyor se tu tele ya ki sache ko jasa tinde chiyor ni ta zong chimbo chiyor ni senjele te ya tsa tu sa ni kumba chiyor kumba tie ja sho ta le 주지 다 만들는 파이네는 거기서는 배나 까하고 들려 간이 세워라. 간이 들려져 간이 콤바데 도로는 간이 야치사 유저. 간이 강은 네고사요. 자 주진다가 자시. 근데 이거 마사타사 그 파시 야치사 유지.
강이 코란 디가스요.
간이 강세는 네 강이다. 이 콤바데가 자시. 생각하면은 소리대로는 이 공부 노마지 체에다 뒤로 저기로 아니 사이나를 메시나를 근데 중수는 간이 체자리 중국어다 수녀나 간이 대체자리 짜다가 간이 내가 되어를 텔레가 내가 빼샤다가 스테이블 셈 텔레라고 했다.
톡서치그는 이래 봐라.
토테니요. 토토니 수면자다. 바자지를 토토를 시그 땡칼리가 투자하고야. 오자들 센치어리 바자들 문제가
토갈 가야를 쓰니.
토가래야 등고세 그렇고 같이 우리 디노래 땡카 투 제망가 차례마다 걸려낼 것이고요. 다 토토.
So the house was 3-storied. On the lowest level, the animals were tethered, and the middle story was where the people lived. And in the middle story, there was a shrine. There was a storage where you kept your provisions, and then a kitchen, and then also a division where hay for the animals was stored. And our house was one which consisted of 80 pillars with beams. So a size of one pillar was known as Khangni, and the uppermost story is where the harvest was stored.
And what kind of a harvest were stored in that upper story?
And delea and tendo nga savejele shagiri larwa pala tendo kari re.
그래도 망치한 것들에 배려 좀서 염을 때마다고 얘놓고 부자를 사버리 근데 참아 더 가져오죠.
So it was mostly barley that was harvested and stored on the uppermost floor. If there were harvest of peas, these were kept in the lower level.
Harvest of what?
Peas, pea.
Oh, peas, lower level. Was there a reason why the harvest was stored above at the highest level? Did it help keep the house warm, or what was the reason?
단다 뜬도 nga 사베젤이야 토슈 강바 토슈들의 샤기도와 디 샤야들이야 윤생 한데나 지금 낭산데 차부차야 된다래.
대다 그래서는 공부 토자 줘야 돼. 그래서는 꼭 무슨 뭐 레칼이면은 그 이름을 샤고 그 이름을 샤고 들고 토리안 저야 되구나. ndapura nima pura shelu pate ko pura derido komba kora so ni tigi toati ani yiribo ngosana kolo ri ma ri je riba chaya me ni sach de lore ani to dungur kale pesa dina ika ko senchen gule ika ko se teri chigre mando ika ko yo mare toha dungur.
In a family, if there were not many hands, these harvests were kept for very long periods. So it was taken right up on top of the house and piled up there. And gradually, these were beaten to get the grain. Unlike those in Lhasa, where the beating was done in an open ground, the threshing of the crop.
So the roof of the house was used to beat the grain?
아니 강배 토가 들려야 동그르베.
토가 동그르. 먼저 토가 레레르니 쇼자문들이 요마를. 그 토가 pane.
Yes, the top of our houses were not sloped, they were flat, so the threshing was done there.
Right. Was your house considered a moderate house or a very wealthy house in the community?
And pala number su shuse saja dilarwa pala su ki khangba di this khangba yaga thangla ligre dinga thangla ligre khangba khorang
파시 kumba 타트니 파시 야가 트렌지 레이지 셰바콜로 케와트서 kumba 찌찌라 판자데 나도 kumba 자가 뭐 케고 고
Ours was among the best because otherwise the regular houses were connected to each other, whereas ours was in an independent house.
And had that house been in the family for a number of generations?
Khangba di pala number sugi mizan nanglara mirak mangbo le yode ina khangba thara.
세분만이 우자리 고sek도 로 녀시 순진로 있어요.
Lo nishu sumjuji lo.
데리로 있어요. 그래서는 나로 지디레 상도 팀분이 내비자 로내 아샤지 때 아샤지 못체니 우자리다 포세톰 로 맞추지 복근
I think the house had been in our family for like 20 to 30 years. When I was 17 years old, there was a maternal uncle and he was about like 50 or 60. So it had been in his time too.
I see. And do you have any happy memories of living in that house? When you think back, what are some of the most pleasant things you can think of?
Tanda pa samlo tangba na nyama pala khangba di nang la shu de yorwa tanda tensu ki bu da bu de khari chowa yu de
다 소화세는 쉬었다 고야면 말로 지디군이 번에 우리 텐데 단달로 된지 되게 말아봐도 나는 내가 우리 teleyata ne chamu ko mari no de temari ne pinja so pura thong san jori ajare konzo chama thong san tanana chawo chamu sum de mo de sukum ina 생각에 콤바 좋다 이네 콤바 생각 사바 내셔 해서 마쇼 이 차오 붙여야 돼저 마음 너빠이 저 마구는 두포메 이 자와 판도나 너스과 콘도로 예세네 지금뭐로 올라오지 아니 이나 소소스 보고 만제 로마도 이 자미세니 데미토나 소소 시에디니 노데 티카는 도분이데 강이 참으로 올려 가르치나다 자와 자로 무치 가지고 있는데 시부리 소소 세나타 소소 루미리 대와 가해 전에 대 주어리 아니 별 판도는 내가 지지요 말을 자미 토통 개가 말을 토토가오리 상거 만든 거죠 그래서는 자미데 담미네 말을 담미네를 모두 다가 바가다 말을 나미 참아 메니즈니 자미리 파마 핑자 메니즈니 자미리 어따 내리서 치도 짜고 우게즈니 자미리 스포요 말다.
So I do not have now much memories left because it was at the age of 17 that I left home and now I'm 78 and since then I've never been back home and now I believe only my nieces and nephews live there. My elder sister and elder brother, they have all passed away and my nieces and nephews, they have asked me to come and visit them and that they were doing well and that they would meet my expenses if I came to meet them and wanted to go back to India. And I believe they have a new building now, a new house, but I did not because it's the Chinese that I'm scared of the Chinese, and here by the grace of His Holiness the Dalai Lama we are very happy and we have freedom to do anything that we want to do here, and by going back I have no expectations from the Chinese, and the Chinese are our enemies because they are the ones that destroyed our families, they are the ones that killed our parents and the cause of our leaving our country.
How, before we get into the Chinese, let me ask you something about your property. Did your parents, did they work the land, just the few family members, or did you have help to do the farming?
Tanda gemi malegi ngen la palagi pama yobe kabla ya di kabla ta shinga yorwala e shinge nang la khunzu la ropa chinge nang la 다 딘데 요르 레로 딘데 요르
여러 요문이요. 그 가르치고서는 가지고 그걸 신카 예까지 개월에 대 이가리를 개월을 건조돼서 공부되고 건조 요문이데 니마치라 보모치고 니마치라 재미치고 들리지는 냐니리 전에 먼저 내가 연구를 아니 지구 자미가 도포탄이라 건조 먼저야 이 두어 지알라문도 가르치세는 미조주테소래야 안내 봐서 쉬우지에 먼저 아니 다다 속 두자라나 되니 먼저 전다 이나 전당이 조조테 지 먼저 포일을 자미가 지도 그자 나치 망만에 진로 땅을 되네 미조주테 가세면서 되는 지도 그자 자시 장아 놓고 돈 대마도 전다고 gembe travayi ko travangone share perde mato kron travangone cheju.
So we had 2 maids, and the maids had been provided with an acre of land and housing, and they came to work in our house on alternate days. And during the liberation imposed by the Chinese, these maid servants did not cause any harm to my family. Had they said anything bad, my family there would have suffered, but they didn't. And my elder brother passed away in 1985, still as a monk.
Oh, really? So your older brother became a monk?
아니 빨라기 빙야체디 타바치르와. Yes.
And did you ever become a monk?
And 빨라 타바치르.
나 travayi.
I too was a monk.
travayi 드네요 나 동보야고 가르치는 trava서니 해살이야 로스는 먼저 trava테 로스는 대거 그는 파이마로는 아니 고 trava미니리 노네 내가요 머리 사 아니 소소 취소야 되는데 내가 조금 먼저 머리 유타마를
The reason I came to Lhasa was to join a monastery, and normally we do that for 3 years, and then when we return to our village, we spend our time in prayers.
Is it typical that more than 2 men from a family could become monks? I thought it was just one son.
네, 다 남미 남산직 나라 분이 잡아치기를 왜 카이스나 모랑기 삼야라 미산직 나라 부직 잡아치기를 시야지 고송사.
그래서는 게 빈자데 동보콩이 아산조래 아산조 kom 콜라 나만에라 제래 나만에지를 콜라레 나 맞소치보다 드린 그 나만에 걸 나만에 코 콩콩 치도잖아 콜로스다 자살라 자와서니 그런 그래 치도잖아 콜로선 테노콜은 거서 데 지리야 콩 알레 온데 데코 나만에 먼저 노래 아산 치아요 코 셰르페자리 테니 아산 셰르페자리 테니 네핑자드 나나야 온 치아로 그래 그런 알라고래 제 디자테네 마치 제메 콜라만도 아니 뭐니 카타라 처럼 치세 데서 네안 조조를 라이지 조조 장세디 마치 마치메 콜라 로구마리 나 아우조구마리 그래서는 처럼 아우존데 메네 타와치레 나 투가라니 나 타와존이 있으네 조조 들어들에 라야지 아니 조조지는 말 강야야 아니 제리
We had a maternal uncle at home that wanted my older brother to get married, and he wanted to bring home a bride for him, but my older brother didn't want that, and he fled home in the night to become a monk. And even later he used to advise me that I should be a good monk and not, run after women, and I promised him that I would be a good monk.
Why did you want to become a monk?
And pala 가르치니 타바 진대 중베스.
나 타와서 이제 가르치는 아우 이제 그는 시간이 바자고도 시간 세만하고도 너나 따고리 가르치는 까는 친구도 결국으로 sembal에 이지민이가 타와서는 지마라 되게 지워야 될 상황에 타와지.
So I saw that being a layman meant, having to plow the fields, to do the harvesting, and there was a lot of responsibility. And then I felt that life as a monk would be happier.
And did your parents give you permission?
And pala amagi, and tabachina digiri sungwe.
아마 그런 대화 이름을 그런 소소 또 가르도 전에 프로는 티치 자리 걸면도 근데 컨트롤로 셔마도 되게 저들의 조그세니 캔다로 깨끗한 유다마를 가르치는 이유는 난 남치라 부치 예조지 지쳐고 저사를 남치라 아마 그러나 부치 있어요 말 이게 나로 대화 가르는 게 계속 주고는 맞도 나를 컨트롤 전에 쓰고요 말
So mother did not, say anything otherwise, but only what I wished to do. I was given that freedom, and all my older siblings had already become adults, and I was the only child at home. So she always supported what I wanted to do.
Wanted to do. So where did you become a monk?
And pala tawa kawa suina.
타와 도문에 맞아 데메 타와와
Kabbalah.
다지고마 타와 드네야 드니 회사야고니 타사슈 로스음 데고 드니 파이만 로그리 데노사 마라와 제네 우리가야고 저기 구장마지 마마네 마투 마치 마디는 로치디 제두고니 마 파이니야고이 드니 드네 마 타사라야 로스음 데 마치 마굴 치도 자우리 차라고 아니 파이 마음이 그 통하면서 기도 그냥 좀 망만네 드리프지야 파이 미치는 통하니 대 가르치리 이 자민이 대우는 마치도 자우리 대나체리다.
First I became a monk at the local Thage Gompa, and after that I left for Lhasa for 3 years in one of the great monasteries. And in 1957, when I was 17 years old, that was the time I left hometown and never went back, because in 1959 the Chinese forced us to flee.
I see. Pala, so before we talk about your life as a monk, could you go back and tell us something about a water mill that the family co-owned? I heard that you mentioned that before.
아니 pala jel tatananga ju thasala thaba chebegi luyugi ngonlaya and la pala number 2 nalaya tik chugor ji yore sungsha and chugor di kolya test sungra nanda
친구들 내려도 먼저 제 차원에 주대 콘도 먼저 중반이고 무성이고 투문전에 그 친구들이 안 들어. 그 친구들은 딱 먼저 중반고 좀 최소 멤버로 그것도 먼저니 투문이다. 냠다. partner. 다 대인도 그는 되게 로치 먼저 되게 로치 콘도 되게 근데 이 친구들 같은 친구들 매나 먼저 lumbalaya tsampa thasa chuni yo mararo masiro utilichi yo matara singhamala karisani chinko taga rang ani tsamba te mase chamane tsamba tine thaborda karisani tene ni chinko nazo ni chinko sum shiore chechimboji tsala te tinole mutong koro chiko tanye tinole tsamba tanye koro soso le yo 소소 기노를 단 라샤 코트니 좀바케를 코로 대모트니 셴바트니 다시 주는 만도 별 생각만 요무다 가르치는 친구 때문에 이 좀바타는가 가르치는 그 사야지 기노를 한테
So there was this water mill, and since a very long time ago that my family and the leader of the region's family co-owned, and we were partners, and the water mill was managed by these two families in alternate years. So since there were no other machines in our village, the water mills were the only source where we could get our tsampa made. And there were 3 to 4 water mills in our region located near a very large river. And after the tsampa was made, we received payment in the form of tsampa.
Ah, so can you describe the mill, what it looked like?
아니 추고디 간데라고 지기요래 봐.
친구들 자가가 무슨 친구들 가르치나 오고고 먼저 배기 친구들 가르치나 틈만 고고 자가 무슨 친구들 오마한테 고고를 뭐 태어 고고를 말이 무슨 게 오마 고고 먼저 친구들 가르치는 오마한테는 짜시나 그런 얘기 주셔래 뒤고 고고를 친구들가 오리야 신동 bonbon 되지라 그 쇼파스를 보내드려 아니 대레가 최슈 첨부들에 땅 가스니 만들어내는 가스다 아니 처우서더니 친구 이거 뭐게 슈자네 꼭 가르치는 꼬라자고 다 대우 꼬라 놓고 자고 근데 친구 이요 공부 내려오시나 내 친구 지수를 내 지요 근데 보내트는 들은 좀바이네 대토를 그러 따오를 들은 좀바코는 들어서 좀바마 대행을 대한수로 먹어야 코로는 그렇거든요 우리 토야를 그 인생 뒤돌아고 친이 좋아요 영어를 그래서는 무슨 영어를 되거든 뭐 참아 무슨 참아 좀부터가 돼요.
So unlike the flour mills in India where the upper portion rotated, in our region it was from the lower portion that the mill rotated, and these were rotated by water that was channeled very strongly onto flat wooden wing-like things on which the water fell, and then it was rotated and barley was poured there and the tsampa emerged down, and this water mill worked day and night because every family needed tsampa to be made.
Every family, Good, interesting. Had that mill been in the village for generations, or was it something new?
단다 추고 지어와 발라. 디 발라스 롱발이야 사바이나 나가모 가문에 요대요지나.
나 생각만 요대요를 거 소와 차는 요대 거나 친구들 요대를 이모도 시서 사바들이 줘야
It wasn't anything new. It existed since the village began.
I see. And how about how the animals were slaughtered in your area? Because you lived on the product meats, the animal the foods. So how were they slaughtered?
다 발라나버스 룽베나리아 샤스 추기요와 샤 추기 유디간에다 심제 두주 칸데스체니 아니 세이레스
생제대 한 로버트스 계다세요. 이나 셔탄 코커스 생제대 포도 우과산에 세기도. 로파다고 들려오도 콘도 카르스는 공바 근데 타파담 마리 테네 포담 근데도 생각도 추주 보기 추주를 꽂더니 하고에 말이 때문에 로데 꽂더니도 세기도.
So the animals were normally slaughtered by smothering. Then some of the nomads came there to the village, and then they tied up the limbs of the animals, and then they smothered it, because as a child I have seen them doing it.
Really? How do you smother an animal? Do you put something on its face or head?
아니 꼭 간디스 가죽이요. 데직 고 단나고 갈직 요기래 간디도 지기래.
타파담. 타파들이요 포들이 담이 그도 담도
they tie up the snout with a rope.
And was that considered a better way to kill an animal than with a knife or a?
아니 다디 포담니 심진 세야 저와 디 세야 디 지기 세발레 다 직데스 타가도 지기요나.
다때 모두 포일에 되게 투신이라고 치는 이유 담아래. 그 가르치는 로봇들이 같이 그것도 봐서 투신이 지세인이라고 치거든. 그래서 포치들은 로봇에서나 참아다 공부되려고 있는 로봇인데 시간들이 지는 되게 아니 대려 때마다 보충주는 먼저 때로 빨리 주시는 양세라고 때마다 노래 뒤도가 가고 그 때마다 트레이스도 시대년도 제기다.
So in our region, it was never done with knives, but I've seen nomads who usually came to the village, and we used to find the nomads very strange. So as children, we used to go and watch them, and I have seen them, killing animals by stabbing on the top of the head.
Oh, I see. So you both lived in the Kham region. So the farmers, were they not as friendly with the nomads?
다 싱바초다 다 족바초 요르발 언즈니 파라레야 참보르지 요레 간데르지 요레
고 때가 때동아 자들을 때동아 동고 티카툴은 로파 생이데 가르스는 꼭 건가를 사야 내 누가 연구했다. 그내 누가 오는 로파래야 샤마 체라 때문에 걸려요 말다 점바사요 말 아니 먼저 이바가 가르고 콜 드르테고 때 드르테스는 때 약히로는 거기에 근칼을 고도 사야 돼 자고다 건조 먼저에 생체 뭐예요 말 야요 말 인제요 말 로파스니 때 야도 좀 손좀 쉬어요 말 체가 된대지요 일단 로파스니 도 이바스니처럼.
So during autumn time, when the barley was harvested, that's the time the nomads came down into the village. And since they only had meat, butter, and cheese, and no tsampa, so they would come down to get barley from us. And we did not own yaks and sheep, not many animals. So the farmers gave them barley in return for the meat and dairy products.
Was it a friendly exchange?
아니, 다 청동도 참보체는 성격이라.
그래. 그 그릇은 또 이게는 뭐구나. 빼나 땅난 도판다 오시나 뭐시바 니나도 무슨매나 니나 kumba 가와이나 티키를 나오네. 아니 대거 드니 처럼 맞아서 도파들이 내주세. 드니 무슨 게 텔라 도파요. 텔라 총장하는 야보리. 샤마 참아 거사를 좋아해 요리세. 드네도 안 되어도 코너트니 차네. 주고 이하라 도파노 양도서나 청사를 하는 거 우리는 그 시험반 도파서는 뭐예요.
So when the nomads came down, they normally camped close to a person they knew, and that person would spread the word and introduce this nomad to his neighbors and stuff that he has very good, things for exchange. So in the same way, when the farmers went to the nomadic site, they would go to the nomads that they knew.
I see, nice. And then I know you wanted to talk, also continue your talk about the monastery, and we have to do that right now. So how old were you when you left home to join the monastery?
In Lhasa?
In Lhasa.
Nepala susu lungbane Lhasa la thasa la pedugane konglo khazuina. 17 years old.
17? And was that your first time to Lhasa?
And di kabla pala lo chupdu la pedugane thengma thangbo Lhasa la pegi yorwe.
동보 다 나네 자명 무게 듣었다는 것 지도 잡고 그래서는 로치디로 지도 잡고 뒤도고는 자명 가르라 제가 마음에 로게 생각을 내라 근데 자기게 타와 참아 마음은 로나 나 마음은 로게 타와 참아 마음은 만들면 나 마음은 로게요 머리 생에 되라 그 거치에 놓서 그 police라고 들리지를 그나서 말에 힘까지 멘다주네 전도가에 오면서 되게 시원하고 대꾸래들이 무무도나 아마들라요. 자명 만들려고도 마음을 티사리에서 들이세리 안 두고 보면 쪼쪼대로 쪼쪼된 사람들이다. 이놈고 또네 단데 나는 당시에는 뭐또 그 자명 마음을 티사리에서 대세리 아니 샤포 쪼마사지 놓고라 근데 다디스네가 나는 비슷하. 들으면 뭐
So that's the first time I left for Lhasa. It so happened that the Chinese were in our region, and the Chinese had they had asked me if I wanted to go and join the army, and I replied that should all the monks of Tharke Gomba, leave to go to join the army, I will do so. If everyone does not go, why should I go? And this Chinese officer was very angry, and he threatened me with a gun. So I went and told mother about it. And at that time, my older brother was in retreat, but my mother went to him and they discussed and said that it was best to send me out of the village. And within 15 days, they were able to prepare for my, for my leaving for Lhasa.
Wow. Your mother was worried that you would be in trouble with the Chinese?
Palagi amagi ta semde chungruwa ta gyami ya pulaya kangen tesare samne. Right. Mother was worried that the Chinese might take me away, in which case I might become like a Chinese.
Right.
So she made preparations to send me to Lhasa.
Right. So, Pala, how old were you, or what year did you go to Lhasa?
Pala chikdong ko kya khazyo na pala khonglo chukdyo yun sungsa. It was in 1957.
Oh, in 57. What did you see in Lhasa when you looked around? Did you see the presence of many Chinese?
Ta pala Lhasa la jorwa chikdo ko kya ngapchu ngapdyo na la. Endi ka la phazul Lhasa nanglo la sidyo ka ne kya mi mambu duwe Lhasa na la.
하사는 점이 지대고는 뭐도 이는 아주 파이리아고 그래서 코테네 로스세네 콘조 대두고는 제게 아니 시리요 말어 대가서는 많지 않아도 파이리아 지도 쪽에서 산다 79세니 소소한테 프로 파이리 점이는 걸로자 이 지도 쪽에서 더 많지 단동에서 칸바 뭐 리스트 받기로 나요 말에 남이지요 말 소소지 포함한다고 파마 빈자 매니에도 짱짱해요. 때 가르쳐 파이니 치도 자고 아니 되네 배사쇼를 해서는 사쇼를 아니 자가를 치도 못하고 데모스요. tombo 파이니 해서 치도고 되네 하산에 배사쇼를 두고 때 참마 자가를 치도 자고 그러다.
There were many Chinese in Lhasa at that time, and for the Khampa people. Those that were in Lhasa, they had revolted against the Chinese in their region and escaped from there. And then when there was the uprising in Tibet, they had fled to India. So many of the Khampas, because of that, they have no family members, here. And that was due to because they have revolted and each one had fled by himself.
And what monastery did you join?
And pala Lhasa la phedu gane Lhasa khadi la juina.
Lhasa Sera Monastery. 가르치나 세력들하고 대래 개개 체고를 양 아니 파이니 빈자지를 그 희진만 나빠를 떼서 대 그만 proposte 지 세력들을 타원 대래 때리고는 팀 같은 세력들을 야슈지 아니 그 개개 체 아니 칼라트니 체 저는 로송 같다 다사되고 그러다. 그때는 로송 맞았구나 아니 배런서 쇼를 아니 지도고 장마치 말고 막 자같이 지도 장.
So I joined Sera Monastery in Lhasa, and once you joined the monastery, you had to find a teacher. And I had a relative in Tibet, back in the hometown, who had a friend in Sera, and he'd given me a letter for this friend. So this friend found me a teacher and also someone who would provide me with food. And I was supposed to stay in Sera Monastery for 3 years, but I couldn't because before that Tibet was lost.
And what were the circumstances under which you left Sera Monastery? What happened?
Anita pala Sera Gomba yugni chu phebo thurwa. And didu gane netang khande jobis chune ani phebo thure.
나도 그 빼면서 세모 반복 되게 그거와 그래서는 새놓고 많이 문어동자 낭시부터리 세벌 들려다고 이모도 어떤데 두분들이 양구리 사는 것들이 대바 세벌 대바요 뭐 수술 뭐 쇼구리서 대바요 뭐 이나 내도 가왔으니 티거더니 다 내려서 지도죠 다 들려다고 그는 다 손이 팔로와 이제 삼성으로 들려 때문에 팔로와 내가 니레 타르리리 차 때문에 주더니 자가래 들리.
So the situation was very sad then. It was like a nightmare, and you would never have thought that such suffering and such a thing would happen, and about losing your country and not being able to return. So gradually the days became longer, and it's been like this.
And what happened? How did you finally leave your monastery?
아니 빨라 타마데 공반에 간데스 페비용베.
아무튼 그거는 동부 세라나 뭐 다다체를 먼저 째려야 맨달에 가도 맨달아를 있으면 남무게를 내가도 맨달아서 맨달아를 채놓고 이 먼저 중고로 어떻게 gemba tungkado do tedeje ni niman kire tere gemba tuyamul goto saibes ta soso gemba tuyamul soso ta soso senatan do no to che yo marise ani thaje papi ani awu chete ani menda ko ani ta shen yo morti katulo ani soso kombat with niman yin sai bui tini ta do tede musen tede sai 다 타자로 어떻게 라서 대라도 건 때문에 죽으래 한 70군에서 대가 투수 70군에는 건도 기 칼라로 이제 포도로 때 어떤데 들리는 때 70군 때문에 파시에 뭐선도 시오자서 자라 마서 파시에 뒤뒤만다고 되니 자라를
And from the monastery of Sera, we went to the Potala palace because they said that there were guns to get there. Yeah, we went there and we got the guns. And then we went atop a hill trying to protect the monastery. But the next day we learned that everybody had surrendered and that each one should make a move and get away. And so I removed my monk's robes, put on layman's clothing, and taking my gun, I walked for 2 days. Then after 2 days, I was able to get a horse, and then met up with the Chushi Gangdrug, who provided some food, but there wasn't much fighting to do.
What happened to you next then, Pala?
And DJ Pala Karichumre, Chushi Gangdrug na pe.
테네스 지도자하고 테네스 인디와 아섬에서 들려서 아섬에 전화 카톡 아섬에 한 모습에 종지 세계에 아섬 뚜팅 세사 대례네 대리 멘다요자데 자간 파티께 테네 줄을 나오는 먼저 나오는 기록도 아니 공부츠 돈에 테네니 니마니 공부츠네 보내 아니 칼카타에서 때와지 인사 테네 주친 자산을 보더니
After leaving Tibet, I reached a place called Tuting in Assam, and there I surrendered my gun to the Indians, and those who were able to walk had to walk for 2 days, I think, to reach Calcutta, and others who were not able to walk were taken in an airplane, and then finally I was sent to Misamari.
To reach Calcutta, that far down?
Calcutta la khomba gyam phebre.
Mari ye tudi ne mani le agode ko ni mom jaga mom tele tema to samsang ta soba do koni samsang do le tele ani gadi moria kondo jungu mando chijaza do to tele demus asam te jungu kondo to
Al Calcutta mara.
Mari
It wasn't Calcutta, sorry. It was a border at the tribal area, and from there in a ship we were sent to Misamari.
I see. And did you ever rejoin a monastery or did you remain a lay person?
Ani tijela ani pala 양교 공바 타자라 파주요레야 다 미게 진슈레
tene asomne ta thaba mangche thaban zara thoa so chama phuge korisite kondo thaba jane ta sashi dom nge so koris
박사
masal tiluri manzo zara mamuri tego ni masuri shaso masuri shasare tene ne nimachira che mi dawote tombom the Musurigo, Hatana was Tojas, the Toja and the Toja, Tino Simundu, Karina, and he Musuri Hata Masum de Musuri Hata material, then Nimachila, Madame Suchitonga Chalia, Tansum, Meadows, and Tini Nahans as the Pulet do. The Jaws that are here is in Taylor. Tene 당한테 자와이면 되게 지금 뭐 ጭሱ미요. 근데 가시 아우리 먼저 뭐 선지는 먼저 ጭሱ미 자와를 아니 먼저 이게 전도 신가래 그래서 아니 먼저 신가래 신금에 먼저 제대로 지죠. 아니 근데 지금 먼저 신하고 먼저 들이 먼저 차려야 메토 도란다고 들으면 사다고 고치 들이죠. 메토 도란다고 레지고. 되게 대래들 아니 니마치 Shino Bhavati Matwada with the Kulas, that Chanson de Apache de As, and in Kale Kalishin, Chanson Shamu the Korala, and Shina Bav Chavre, no Sigdi. And the name Madevache, and the Chido Janani on the Shimla Seta the Road, Shimla Donani, Rosa Jui, Koli, the Rosa Jui, Teneji, Teneji, Teni, Yan Nimachila, Dine, Taju, Peju, Tojanino. Chanda Mamman Rona, and Dawa to Lojo de Grace, and this Haya to look at Sama, Terry, Dawa to Lojo Rasana, and he pair Santo Padoguri, Jamil, and Zihando Greece at the Ledo Level. And Teneta Dawa to Machetani, Lodia, she charges as mom that day.
Mr. Shi. So most of the monks who were more educated, they were taken to Buxar, while some of us who hadn't been able to get a good education in the monastery, we were sent to Misimari, from where they said there was a school in Masuri, but I wasn't accepted into the school. There were 30 men, among whom 13 were monks, and then we were dispatched to a place called Nahan, where there was an iron factory, and there they said that we had to do farming, but then we replied that we didn't know how to work on the farm, and so they gave us a work like digging the earth to make a garden over there, and this was under the forest department, and there was a forest official who said we had to work hard and be good, and that after some time we would become also forest officials, but then we didn't want to stay there, and then we went to Shimla, where I joined the road construction gang, and over there a Tibetan official came who said that if we wanted, we could join the Indian Army, where a 6-month training would be imparted, after which we could go to the Tibet border and fight the Chinese. And from that 6 months, I was 24 years in the Indian Army.
Did you ever go back to the border and fight the Chinese?
아니 다와 troop training 제바이나 디젤이야 별로 산점라 파칭이 겸이 증야라 그리슬라브와 엔 발라데 페비아 중요나
거래 우리 대 뭐야 중앙을 먼저 가르쳐 자가도 대대만 대대리 근데 산소로 맞추지 돼 아니 이게 지하조로 그 대대로 지 아니 또 마보는 대대리 로커는
No, that did not happen. I was based in Chakrata, And for about 15 years, I did the job of a trainer.
I see, I see. Well, your story certainly, there's much more to tell, but I also know that we have an obligation to stop at this time for your schedule. So is there anything, first of all, I want to thank you for your story. Is there anything that you would like to add before we finish?
Tata nganzu pala luyu sungba de la tushi sirwa nganzu za ma sha binge la pala ge yang sungya pha de yo din de khari sungya yobe dunghama ke sungya yobe
dunghama da che ko ri za ma ta karsin dunghama she ta jo chane ro che tani ku ta dunghama ro khare sena nganzu dupo che cheme do ka tu tene chene e jun kadi chimbo te nganzu ga sono ti ani kala ke chibo he ho manza ka chibo sakwa yo marita chibo la dhamma yo mari so chendo su to go mari singa yo mari khumba la sa te go mari saira sindi yo mari jara mu che ka ka di chibo de na re tele thong manza le ta lo sa chi yo mari shinata chi je ba chuni yo mari tu ji che.
So my story almost comes to an end because having suffered so much, and here the Tibetan government and His Holiness the Dalai Lama, they have been so beneficial. There isn't anyone more happier than us at the home for the aged because we have no suffering, we don't have any expenses, we don't have to pay house rent, we don't have to worry about food, everything is provided to us. Now there is only death that's left.
What is your hope for Tibet? Can you just share that with us?
And palagi pyogi tenda la pala tanda simpe na la rewa kari dota.
Rewa tu chimbo du ta pela mashikura pela chile na soso rode pela chi usarama samne tinde semalo tu tinde mambo tengo tena pengo yo mari soso ne jengo yo mari chila yende yo mari ina soso gengo chatare zopo jengo yo mari chidu kudu do re de ore ani soso zopo jenye jina kari na tashi do jerita do thogo yo mari bimane bare karchena chogo do hentori chogo yini mone tada soso kawa zombori pe jung de desamando to ujere shago re tele kari chechi yo mari sembalo tembado ani soso zopo manjene jihase jaya umara ta sosu zupo jena ani samba thembate zotogri pena jaleji janari kharchina kora teche supolo to mena mali jani jana kale khori ki ndogana ki zupo thombo mena khondoya kale khori kharchina zupo thombo mena kharchina chogo ram resan muma chinchu ko leina ki zemule te gengu de thonsa cho kharchina 저 가르나는데 마음이 된데 신이로 캔자로 들려라고요. 다 소소 개고 저거 다 뭐마 물러라야 소소 롱코데요. 비모나에 가르치를 때서 사람들이 채우리 니 소소세바 소소 저거야로 리 되니 세노기타 니조데 자르무치 칼럼노 소소 세바 저거 마치 세바 저보지 세바 저보는 소소를 대와 만에 내바 마치 tindedo kadulina sungore ta kundi ka jasa jathamo pura retho mara ina ta chi ni ro tinde sembal kuni sembal gana do kundo sai ni de ta do ta tindedo chuna ta jasa jathamo ta zomo do thakere ta tino chi re chi kundi ka te ni to sai sena no tangore 단단한도 시보되고 참아 보는데 군디 가디리마도 석공보다 밤에 잡아 말이 왔다 비빈자로 봐서요 말이 자랑부지 큰 라고다 너를 내자 되게 신나자니는 자랑부지리 다곤데나 칼라테니 대사존이 참 자랑부지리 자랑부지 나오면 당만도 대하고 대체 그래 겁니다.
I have a very high hopes that I used to hope that I would be able to go back to Tibet and that my body would can be buried. I can take my body into Tibet, but that's not possible now due to my old age and physical ailments. Yet I consider myself fortunate because His Holiness the Dalai Lama is providing us with everything. It's not our parents, it's not our relatives that's providing us all this, but it's His Holiness who is the protector. He's the protector in this life, He's the protector in the next life, and without Him we will not be allowed to live in India. And when I was younger, there were times when I used to look at old people and tease them and ask them to show which part of your body is giving you pain. But now I have reached that stage where my body cannot function well.
Well, we wish you well, that your body continues to feel okay. I'm sorry for your pain. So that's the dinner bell. So I just want to ask the following. Again, if this interview was shown in Tibet or China, would this be a problem for you?
다양한 스팔라 골 두두간에 티와 양교지구야 요래. 단기 티와데 찍바래. 디 티와 티네 제바 디스 다린게 벼다 야나 데마이나 팔라라 강에 요르베스.
나
팔라라 강에 요베스. 아마주 티와 티네 제바데 벼다 야나라 통바이나.
저 고강에 저 장이 고소는 것 다다 가사를 못 주는 커뮤니티를 괜찮아요.
I do not have any problems whatsoever. In fact, I'll be happy if the Chinese hear about this story.
Okay. So, can we use your real name for this project? Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, Pala, for sharing your story.
Great.